Fourth graders, today you're going to have a lot of choices about color, so orange or white paper, and then you're going to have a choice of the size. If you're going to make something that's a little bit wider, you're going to want the shorter paper. If you're making something tall, like a body or a long head with a hat, you might want this taller paper. So at the store, you get to decide what color you're going to make and what size. Everybody will need a piece of black paper. If you're using your paper the tall way, it's going to look like that. If you're using your paper the short way, it's going to be wider. So today, I'm thinking about a witch's hat and head. So I picked this orange paper that's really tall to use. So I am drawing half of whatever I'm choosing. So I'm thinking about that witch, and I'm kind of thinking of an imaginary line down the center of her face. So a witch definitely should have a hat. So I'm thinking about this as a line of symmetry, where I'm only drawing one half. I'm going to make a brim on the hat. And I'm thinking about a witch having like really long kind of wavy hair. Not too much detail because I got to cut this whole thing out. I'm going to have her hair kind of come in. I'm going to make her chin, her face kind of long and maybe come to a point kind of close to that line of symmetry. And then I'm going to add a little shoulder so that it doesn't look like she has a floating head. Now, if you look, I have stretched this almost to the bottom, starting pretty much at the top. So I am going to cut on that pencil line that I drew. Sorry if it's hard for you to see that line. Trying to stay on as best as I can. I cannot do any cheater cuts, meaning I can't just like cut to the edge. As I'm cutting this out, it has to stay in two puzzle pieces that fit together. So I don't want to take any little snips off of here. If you draw and touch the edge of the paper, it's going to break it in half. So I've got to come around, stay on that line. I can't cut to the edge or it will break in half. And I round it. So at this point, I have two pieces that fit together like a puzzle. I am going to glue this one down that touches the corners. So I'm opening up my glue. I'm going to flip this piece over because I need to glue it on this bottom side so it's lined up on the corners. This is the point where I want to use just the right amount of glue. I don't want gobs of it slipping over the edge. Thinking about craftsmanship, how neatly we're doing this project. So I'm lining this up corner to corner, and then I bring it down. Now this fits in here really nice like a puzzle, but because we're talking about positive and negative space, I need to flip this over. Then I start to see my symmetrical design. So I have to glue on this back side, and when I glue this down, I want these spots to connect. I don't want a big gap between my two shapes because then I can't see what I made. I want them lined up really nice. So I'm going to flip this over. Just the right amount of glue on here. Little bit all over. So when I put this down, I'm looking that those two spots up here touch, and also down at the neck, and even kind of sliding it down to the bottom of the paper. That is pretty good. Now you will have some scraps at your table to add designs. You can cut things out. So if I cut things out, I'm going to want to cut two at the same time. I am going to take some black and orange papers, and I'm going to cut them at the same time to make some eyes. If you want to draw things on first, you can. So this is kind of the lazy way, so I'm getting two of everything really fast. That's one big eye. I kind of like it. So, same on both sides. If you want to glue things on right away, you can go ahead. If you want to cut stuff out and add it on, you certainly can. If you would rather do a little drawing, you could. So because I used orange paper, I'm using an orange crayon, black marker, because I have black paper. You could add details what I add on one side, I'm going to try to match as best as I can on the other side. Mouth, nose, I could do all of that in marker or crayon, or I could cut it out. Anything I add on one side, I add on the other. And again, if you want to draw with pencil first, you can. It's hard to match it up to look the same on both sides. So I'm spending more time drawing with the marker, but you can definitely cut things out as well. So I'm going to continue to add details to this, trying to fill up the space. But remember, anything you put on one side, you're reflecting it, making it look the opposite on the other. Your finished project is going to go in the drying rack when you're done.